Hi there, I'm Mike MacArthur, librarian at the Oshkosh Public Library, and welcome to another edition of Librarian Learns. This is the series where I take a look at some local Oshkosh history that I either had questions about myself or someone has asked me while I've been working. Today, we are talking about the first movie censored in Oshkosh. The year was 1969. It was a wild time for movies. The Hays Code, which effectively censored movies in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, was nearly obsolete. Community standards were changing rapidly, which meant filmmakers were pushing the boundaries of what could be shown on the big screen like never before. Across the country, there were still local censorship boards, the most famous in Wisconsin being the Milwaukee Motion Picture Commission. These film censorship boards were not really supposed to be censorship boards. They didn't really have legal authority to censor a film. However, they often carried a lot of political clout, so they could effectively get a theater shut down if the theater owners decided to go against their recommendations. Oshkosh at the time did not have a film censorship board, but that didn't stop some local officials in May of 1969 when the Grand Theater was scheduled to premiere Russ Meyer's Vixen. Vixen is that classic tale of a racist nymphomaniac who sleeps with every man and woman she bumps into while her husband is away. It's set in that most exotic of locales, Canada. And it was directed by noted skin flick auteur Russ Meyer, who is also very well known for the films like Beyond the Valley of the Dolls and Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, real exploitation classics. I would show you the trailer, which is easily findable online. However, it is a little racy for a library YouTube page. So I put together something that should be a little safe for a library audience, yet still give you an idea what the film is all about.
Russ Meyer's Vixen, the story of a girl who loves the joy of being alive and gives herself innocently to the merry chase of life. But like any other game, life has its rules, and if we trespass beyond them, the game can become deadly. The giving of love is an act of nature. Her only weakness, a cancerous evil she was taught, that human beings are to be classified by the color of their skin. Vixen, an adult motion picture experience that is rated X. The management of this theater urges you to see Russ Meyer's Vixen.
The film is actually a parody of the skin flick. So it's filled with lots of nakedness, but also lots of blunt social commentary on like racism and draft dodging and the Vietnam War and communism. It was actually received fairly well in 1969. Noted Chicago Sun critic Roger Ebert said of it, "A celebration of zestful direction and photography. In a field filled with cheap, dreary productions, Meyer is the best craftsman and the only artist." However, at the time, the film had been banned in Milwaukee and several other Wisconsin cities. Premiere at the Grand. Vixen was scheduled to premiere May 21st at the Grand Theater and run for about a week. So the week it was supposed to premiere, local authorities received numerous phone calls alerting them to the possibly obscene material that was about to be shown at the Grand Theater. Winnebago District Attorney Thomas Fink, Assistant District Attorney William Carver, and Police Lieutenant Richard Gunther requested a preview screening with theater manager David Kleins. Kleins kind of figured you can't fight City Hall, so you might as well show it to them. After the preview, it's important to note that Kleins was never ordered to cut or censor any of the film. However, he was informed that if the certain scenes remained in the film, that the district attorney might have probable cause to arrest anybody who was showing those scenes on obscenity charges. So show the film and go to jail, or cut the film and not go to jail. The film began playing at 9 p.m. with significant cuts. In fact, they were still cutting while the film was playing. So out in front of the Grand that night, as the group was inside finishing their viewing and cutting the film, a group of about 500 ticket holders began lining up. It seemed like it was quite a scene. So traffic was getting thicker. You also got a bunch of looky-loos who were just kind of wanting to see what was going on. My favorite anecdote from that evening was that a car full of youths that was spewing oil circled the theater several times as the crowd cheered. It's hilarious. So the crowd was eventually let in about 25 minutes late. The next day, there were actually several more protesters. These were not people protesting the obscene content of Vixen. They were protesting the fact that the theater had raised the age limit to 21. So it was a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds who were insulted that the theater didn't think they were mature enough to see Vixen. The film screened a couple more times until Russ Meyer's lawyers contacted the theater and ordered them to stop showing the cut version, which they did. The lawsuit. A few months later, in August of 1969, the film's producer and distributor sued the district attorney, Thomas Fink, sued the Milwaukee Motion Picture Commission, and sued the district attorney of Waukesha, saying there was no obscenity in this film. So the two sides went back and forth for about a year until about December of 1970, when the suit was eventually dropped. Around this time, the MPAA instituted what we now know as the modern rating system, so local censorship boards became totally obsolete. So hey, I learned something. If you like these videos and want to see more, hit like, hit subscribe. If you have any comments, corrections, memories, were you one of the people who couldn't get into Vixen that night? Put them down in the comments or contact me at any of the links in the description below. And with that, I'll see you next time.